I remember when I first was prescribed, it was, oh my gosh, you're smoking marijuana for your pain. Well, that's exactly what I'm doing.
The use of medical cannabis is still a controversial topic in the United States. The federal government still labels cannabis as a Schedule I drug, meaning it has no medical purposes and is highly addictive. But 28 states, including Minnesota and the District of Columbia, now use medical cannabis and have been using it for a few years. According to the Minnesota Department of Health, Tyler Rogers is one of just 6,184 patients currently enrolled in the medical cannabis program.
I was miserable. I was happy. I was angry. I was uncomfortable and in pain all the time. And just getting through the day was a challenge.
As a personal trainer, Rogers needs his body to be at peak physical condition so he can help his clients. With his body in pain, Rogers says he was barely able to function on a daily basis.
I've been through several spine specialists, 18 or 19 maybe, back injections, however many MRIs, X-rays, blood tests. Over about 16 months, I found my journey to end at intractable pain. That's what I was diagnosed at.
Medical marijuana has been legal since July 1st, 2015. In the St. Cloud area alone, over 400 people are active patients in the medical cannabis program.
It is very expensive to get into it, to stay in it. It's just as expensive. Insurance doesn't do anything for the cost. There's an annual fee that you have to pay.
Rogers declined prescriptions for opioids. He says he wanted a healthier option. Unfortunately for Rogers, as well as many other patients, opioids would have been a much more cost-effective solution to the problem they were having.
And I think that's ridiculous because the opiate industry is just not shunned upon when you start talking about that.
At the moment, medical marijuana is not covered by most health insurance providers, while opioids are. Even though medical marijuana is legal in Minnesota, it is not a FDA-approved drug, which means insurance companies are not required to cover it.
I know one of the concerns, and I've had quite a few people come up to me and say, hey, I've got an elderly parent who we could really benefit from medical marijuana, but it's too expensive.
Tama Tice voted for legalizing medical marijuana in Minnesota. She says the decision was about making sure everyone got the best chance at a happy and healthy life.
There were a lot of kids, and a lot more than I thought, from Minnesota that would go to, one parent would go to Colorado with their child and do the treatments, and they were having wonderful results. And as a parent, how do I tell anybody that I don't want you to get a treatment for your child?
Tice has heard a lot of positive feedback from her constituents with the legalization of medical marijuana, but the problems she has heard are about the same problems Rogers has had.
How do we keep it more cost-effective for people to use?
Even though studies have shown that medical cannabis is working for patients in Minnesota, the two retailers of medical cannabis have posted $11 million of total losses in just their first 2 years. One of the reasons some believe medical cannabis is struggling financially is because Minnesota has the strictest laws of all legal medical cannabis states. Very few diagnoses are eligible to be prescribed cannabis. Fibromyalgia, arthritis, anxiety, hepatitis C, and lupus are just a few of the diagnoses other states allow to be prescribed medical marijuana.
I think that just to make it bigger and well known and more accepted and easily to get into.
My concern is diversion.
Benton County Sheriff Troy Heck says just like any other prescription drug, people will try to resell their prescription to make money.
We see medications diverted all the time, and I see no reason to believe that medicinal marijuana would be any different than Percocet or any other drugs out there that are diverted for illicit purposes.
Tice says while the state has some adjusting to the bill that needs to be done, it is hard approving drugs that are not federally approved.
To me, what would make this work a lot better is if the federal would look at reclassifying cannabis, and then that, I think, would play into making it more affordable for everybody.
And I would argue before we go much further into any expansion of the use of this substance, whether it's medicinally, recreationally, however, that we really figure that out before we take that leap forward and just say, well, here's another group of people that can use marijuana.
Even though medical marijuana has a long way to go in Minnesota, People like Tyler Rogers say it has already improved his quality of life.
I live better, I sleep better, I think better.
If we can help somebody that's younger not have to go through all these struggles, to have some relief from this, then I can't say no.
Justin LeBoni, WJON.